Hey peeps, what's up? Will here back for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC 188 from the Mexico City Arena in Mexico City as the returning Cain Velasquez returns to face off against Fabricio Werdum to unify the UFC Heavyweight title to see who the true UFC champion is. If you think that Cain Velasquez is going to come back and win, give me a thumbs up. And if you think Fabricio Werdum is going to become the true UFC heavyweight champion, give me a thumbs down. Interesting to see because I think this fight's a lot closer than what people are saying on social media. So I say we're going to get into this. I'm going to try and get through it as quick as I can because it's dinner time and I'm hungry. So first up in the welterweight division, we've got Hector Urbina facing off against Albert Tumenov. Hector Urbina was on the Tough 20 show. Or the Tough show, I can't remember what season it was. He lost to Cathal Pendred, I know that. Came into the UFC, defeated Edgar Garcia via first round submission. A veteran who's got a really decent chin, a bit of a grinder, but he came out and he just peppered Garcia with shots before taking him out with a lovely submission. He's against a fighter here who I'm very high on. I'm a big fan of this kid, Albert Tumenov. He's coming off a couple of really nice wins. His first win was against let me see, who was it? Mardquardt in the UFC. He fought in Canada and knocked him out with a couple of vicious looking head kicks. Followed that up with a really nice decision victory over Nico Masoki in Sweden, where he peppered him with his jab, his footwork, his overall striking skills really hurt Masoki. And we all know what Masoki tries to do. He tries to push against the cage and make it dirty and get you to the ground. He did hit Tumenov with some good shots, but he got hit with a lot more shots than what Tumenov did. I like Albert Tumenov here. I think he's going to knock out Urbina. I think he might do it early as well. So I'm going to go early second round TKO victory for Albert Tumenov. Moving on, we have got Gabriel Benitez against Clay Collard. Clay Collard's coming off a nice win over Alex White. His first fight in the UFC, he was against Max Holloway, and that fight was just nuts. A lot of striking, a lot of funky stuff was being thrown. Very aggressive, comes forward and never takes a step back. And I think his fight against Alex White, it was a decent fight, but White started to wear down a little bit. And Collard just, I think he won the first two. He maybe lost the third, if I remember right. And got enough for the decision victory against Benitez here, who beat Humberto Brown, that was it. And they finished him in the third round with a nice submission. He was catching Humberto Brown with some big shots on the feet, and showed a lot of improvement from when he was on the show as well, the Tough Latino America show. I like Benitez here. I think it's going to be a very fun fight. Might be a contender for fight of the night, this one. I think Benitez has just got enough experience round about him to keep Collard at bay, maybe take him down. Whether he keeps him there is another story. I like Gabriel Benitez in this fight here. Next up, we've got Augusto Montano against Cathal Pendred. Now, every fight I say about Cathal Pendred, I hope his striking's better. I stated that his last fight against Sean Spencer, I was 100% sure he was going to be a lot better striker than what he's shown before, and he really didn't show anything in that fight. And if I'm being honest with you, I think he got given that fight a little bit, being in Boston as well. I thought Sean Spencer did enough to win that fight, but Cathal Pendred keeps coming forward, keeps throwing things. There's nobody that's got a warrior spirit, I don't think, in the UFC than this guy. You have to take this guy out, or he could take you out. We've seen that against Mike King in Dublin. He was getting bossed around that whole entire fight. King did let himself down and gas himself out, and he lost that fight. He got put to sleep by Pendred, and then he went on to Sweden, very lackluster against Umalatov and Spencer. He got given that fight, I believe. Montano, second fight in UFC, 15-1 record. He beat Chris Ellie via TKO, a very long rangy striker, likes to come forward. I think if Montano can't take out Cathal Pendred really early, I think he could be in for a tough night against Pendred, because Pendred keeps coming forward. He looks to put you against the cage, he looks to grind you, he looks to put you on your arse, where he can hit you with strikes and possibly catch a submission. Finding this tough to pick, because I think Montano is a very tough opponent for Pendred, but I think that Montano is prone to gassing out, and he throws too many strikes in the first to take you out, and if he does that against Pendred here, Pendred's going to beat him. But I'm actually going to go with I'm going to go for a finish for Montano. I think maybe early second round for me, but wouldn't surprise me one bit if Cathal Pendred gets the victory here. But I'm going to go Montano. Oh jeez, that's tough. Big fan. I actually really like Cathal Pendred, so yeah. Next up we've got Francisco Trevino against Johnny Case. Johnny Case has looked really good in his UFC fights. He beat Kazuki Tokidome via, I think, did he not submit him, I think? Yeah, with a lovely kind of guillotine choke. But he already peppered him with some strikes through that first round, and Takadome was covering up pretty much that whole of that second round. Got taken down and then got put to sleep by Johnny Case. He's against Trevino here. He's 12-0, 4 wins via TKO, 4 via sub, and 4 via decision. I haven't seen this guy fight in about a year. I think it was UFC 171, where he got a decision victory over Henny Forsh. Pretty well rounded everywhere, but doesn't really stand out in any kind of discipline. Personally, I think that Johnny Case, this is his fight to win wherever he wants to take the fight. And I can see Johnny Case potentially getting a late finish in this one. Don't think he will. I think he will get a decision victory. So, unanimous decision victory for me for Johnny Case. Next up, we have Alejandro Perez against Pat Williams. Alejandro Perez was the Tough Latino America champion. I think he was the featherweight. I think he's dropping down to bantamweight here. I could be wrong. Beat Chimmy Morales. He never beat Chimmy Morales. He beat Jose Quinones in the final of that. It was a very close, controversial fight, that, but I give it to Perez personally. I thought his footwork was a bit better. He did take some shots off Quinones. He took Quinones down, couldn't really keep him there, and got the decision victory. I agreed with it, but it was very close. Pat Williams is coming into his second UFC fight here. His first fight, he was doing okay against Chris Beal, and then he got hit with a fucking howitzer of a flying knee, knocked him out, and we haven't seen him since, so he's making his comeback here. I think Alejandro Perez has just got too much against Williams here. He can finish this fight. I think he could do it early third. I like an early third round finish for Alejandro Perez for me. Next up, we've got Efrain Escudero against Drew Dober. Escudero's coming off a win over Rodrigo de Lima, I think it was, if I remember right. Looked very good. He looked vastly improved, which was, I think Escudero is either very up or he's down. Trades wins and losses very easily, even outside the UFC does so. Veteran, won the Tough 8 show ways back. Very decent fighter when it goes to the ground. He's dangerous down there. But I think Drew Dober, his aggressiveness in this fight is going to win him the fight. Dober doesn't really excel in anything too much. Will stand and bang with you, take you down, and he'll move around down on the bottom and try and get to dominant positions like he did against Leandro Silva before. I don't know what that ref was thinking he stopped the fight against Leandro Silva and gave him the victory, which was one of the worst decisions, refereeing calls that we've ever seen in the UFC. Before that, he beat Jamie Varner. Jamie Varner was injured, I think, in that fight, but don't take it away from Drew Dober. He stopped that fight and won it there. So I like Drew Dober here. I think he can stop Escudero as well, but I'm going to go Drew Dober via... I'm actually going to go decision for Drew Dober. Next up, we've got Chico Camus and Henry Cejudo in the main event of the FX prelims. What can I say about Henry Cejudo that a lot of people haven't already said? He's one of the best grapplers, best wrestlers that's come into the UFC. If he makes the flyweight, if he makes weight for this one, he's probably in line to face Demetrius Johnson. Do I believe he deserves that just yet? No, I think we've seen that against Kyoji Horiguchi. In that division, you just get pushed that a little bit quick. In his UFC debut, we've seen against Dustin Kimura, he was just dominant, completely and utterly dominant over Kimura. Took him down and just showed his wrestling chops. Transitioned very easily. Went on, it just totally dismantled Dustin Kimura on the ground. Then in the second fight in the UFC, he was against Chris Carriasso, where he showed his striking game, and he really hurt Carriasso in the feet, where Carriasso is he probably likes to stay on there, and he took him down as well and just showed that he's just dominant everywhere. Chico Camus, on the other hand, coming off a really nice win over Brad Pickett. Would actually pick Brad Pickett. I thought Pickett might have enough to keep Camus at bay, but Camus totally kind of dominated, if I'm being honest with you. But I just don't see where he hurts Henry Cejudo in this fight, so I'm going to go Henry Cejudo via decision. Moving on to the main card, why this? I do not understand why this fight is on this main card to open up. We've got Tecia Torres against Angela Hill. This fight should maybe be the first fight of the entire night at the bottom of the card. Torres 5-0, she was on the tough show, as was Angela Hill, who's 2-1. Angela Hill was probably the most green, probably the newest kind of fighter on the Ultimate Fighter. She hadn't fought much, got put against Carla Esparza early on and just got decimated. Esparza is one of the best grapplers down in there, so she basically took her down and submitted her down there. Hill is pretty dangerous on her feet. She's long, she's very lean for that division, where Torres is very short, not very long, but she is very quick. She's in and out. She has the better wrestling skills over Hill. I think that Torres is just a little bit faster. She can take Hill down. Can she keep her there? No, I don't really think she can. I think Tecia Torres rides a decision victory out all day long. Next up, we've got Yair Rodriguez against Charles Rosa. This could be a decent fight. Rodriguez won the show against Leonardo Morales. I think he's 4-1. I actually think he fights out of Chicago now. I can't remember what camp it was. I remember reading something about when he's over there training in Chicago. Looked fairly decent on the show. Throws a lot of flying funky stuff. Decent on his feet. You can see with every fight with these guys that are on this tough show that they get better very, very quickly. And I think if you're looking for an underdog to win in this card, I don't think Rodriguez is far off being one to really look at in this card. Charles Rosa, third fight in the UFC, got a fight the night bonus against Dennis Siver. Coming in, I think it was about a week's notice. Gave a very good account of himself. In the end, he lost. I think he hurt Siver a little bit in that fight. Looked for submissions, nearly caught him in a submission. In his second fight in Boston, he faced Sean Soriano. Soriano was trying to keep it in the feet. Rosa took it to the ground. Rosa is very, very good in the scrambles, and is always looking for that submission to try and keep you down there and get him. And eventually he kept on going. Got that submission, I think it was in the last minute of the third round against Soriano. A decent fighter to watch. Actually, he's very fun. His two fights have been very fun to watch in the UFC. I've been going back and forward a lot in this pick. I really think Rodriguez has got a big chance to beat Rosa here and catch him with something. But I'm going to go Charles Rosa. I don't think I'm going to go with underdog with this one. I'm going to go Charles Rosa by decision. Next up, we've got Kelvin Gastelum against Nate Mardquardt. I think this is a great fight for Kelvin Gastelum. I know he's gone up to the middleweight division. He won the middleweight portion of the Ultimate Fighter where he beat Uriah Hall in the final. He was the underdog from day one, won that fight. I think he's got Nate Mardquardt at a good time here. He is diminishing in the UFC. I think he's lost 4 of his last 5 in the UFC. His only wins against James DeHuna where he caught him in a submission. Got outstruck against Brad Tavares last time out. He got jabbed. Brad Tavares just jabbed his face away the whole night. And the biggest skill that Mardquardt really has is his striking. But I just think this is Kelvin Gastelum. I think he's going to finish him in the first round here. I really, really do. and I think he can do it by TKO. I think he can do it by submission. I think he's going to catch him with a big shot, put him down. I think he might actually submit him. So I'm going to go submission first round for Kelvin Gastelum. A lot of people counting Gastelum out. I don't know why, because I know he had the weight issues against that fight against Tyron Woodley, but still was very competitive in that fight for not. I think he was ill and they had other problems as well. But I like Kelvin Gastelum. I like him big here. If not early first round, I can definitely see him catching Mardquardt in second when Mardquardt's gassing himself out. Co-main event, we have Gilbert Melendez against Eddie Alvarez in a fight which probably should have happened 4 or 5 years ago when Melendez was the champion back in Strikeforce. Eddie Alvarez was the champion back in Bellator. They jostled to try and make this match. It never happened. Pretty decent co-main event though. Both guys who I feel are taking a bit of a step back. I don't think we'll see Gilbert Melendez ever fighting for a title again. He got stopped by, submitted by Anthony Showtime Perez. Gave a good account of himself, don't get me wrong. Put Perez against the cage, hit him with some decent shots, but Perez retaliated with some huge straight shots down the pipe. And once he hit him with a big one in the second round, Melendez came in for a sloppy, very, very sloppy takedown and left his neck out there and got choked. Before that, he had that win over Gilbert Diego Sanchez, which he should have. He could have made that look a lot easier, if I'm being honest with you. I'm a big Diego Sanchez fan. He wanted to make it a war. He got clipped in the third round and nearly stopped. But I think this is a good fight for him here against Eddie Alvarez. Alvarez, he's only fought the once in the UFC. He's been pretty injury prone and he's been ill quite a lot. Came in and faced Donald Cerrone. Did all right in the first round. And then he got kicked to death in the second and third rounds. And to be honest with you, Donald Cerrone could have really finished that fight in that third round when he dropped him with that leg kick. And Silly went into his guard and tried to get him there, which was a bit stupid. But supposed to fight Benson Henderson in Boston in January, pulled out there. I think his chin is deteriorating a little bit as well, so Melendez can maybe catch him with a shot there. I just like Gilbert Melendez here. I just think he's a little bit better everywhere against Eddie Alvarez, so I'm going to go Melendez via decision victory. And the main event of the night is the return of the UFC Heavyweight Champion Cain Velasquez as he faces the interim UFC Champion Fabricio Werdum. And it's a pretty good fight, this one. I like this fight a lot. Cain Velasquez, we all know what his skills are. He's a great wrestler. He has probably the best cardio conditioning out of any fighter in the UFC. Decent striker as well. We saw that against Minotauro Nogueira where he knocked him out with a beautiful combination. But he's got that wrestling chops where he'll put you against the cage like he did against Junior Dos Santos. Hit you with some big shots, take you down. If you get back up, he'll put you against the cage and hit you with shots again. He will keep going. That's what Cain Velasquez is like. My biggest worry is Cain Velasquez's injuries. This is his first fight since October 2013 against Junior Dos Santos, and in that time that Cain Velasquez has been away, Fabricio Werdum has been phenomenal. He's been a really improved fighter. We all know about his grappling chops and his submission skills. We saw him against Fedor Emelianenko. He submitted him a couple of times. He submitted him down there. He came in against Travis Brown, and I thought he was phenomenal against Travis Brown. Really hurt Travis Brown with his striking, which has come along very, very good at King's MMA with Rafael Cordero. His striking is night and day from what it was many, many moons ago. And in this fight, I think Cain Velasquez is going to try and do what he did to Junior Dos Santos, and that's try to put Werdum against the cage and try and grind him out down there and take him down, and not really want to be anywhere near Fabricio Werdum on the ground, because Werdum can catch you with anything. He's got a very tight grip. Jiu-Jitsu world champion. But I think the striking is going to play a pivotal part in this fight, and I think Verdum's improvements are going to really help him out here. I know in his last fight against Mark Hunt, he probably lost that first round, but who would have picked Fabricio Werdum to knock out Mark Hunt in the second round via flying knee of all things? So I'm going to actually go, I'm going to pick the underdog here. I'm going to go Fabricio Werdum. I just cannot trust Cain Velasquez not being fighting within the last 18, 19 months. I just don't like that at all. So I'm going to go for Fabricio Werdum via decision. Hopefully there's some more people out there picking Werdum. I will be betting for Fabricio Werdum. I'll be putting him in my counter move. He's very cheap. He's 3-1 to bet on, which I think is silly. I'll be putting a little bit on that. And on counter move, he's 4,400. A guy who can pretty much finish the fight at any time with his submission skills. I like Fabricio Werdum. So Fabricio Werdum via decision victory for me to become the new UFC Heavyweight Champion of the world. So that is my picks done for UFC 188 from Mexico. I will be back for UFC Fight Night 69-70 from Berlin as Joanna Jędrzejczyk defends her UFC strawweight title against Jessica Penney. Come follow me on Twitter, WillMartin7MMA. Subscribe to my channel. I'd like to thank the 5 to 10 new people that have subscribed from my last video. I appreciate that very much, and I will speak to you all soon. Cheers.